All right, hello again, everybody. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss with another fantasy football podcast. It is Wednesday, August 16th of 2025, so the summer is quickly flying by, and, you know, that's good and bad. We love summer, but we also love the arrival of football, which is coming very soon. Preseason, week 2 kicks off tomorrow night. Of course, you know, the usual that we're going to go through today, the news of the day, injuries. Treylon Burks just went down. You saw that video I put out earlier today. Also today, I wanted to discuss some you know, overrated, underrated in terms of ADP for 2023. Some players that are sticking out to me that are comparable in numbers, also ability, but have widely disparate draft prices this summer so far for 2023 fantasy football. Now, if you're new to the channel, as always, hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification button. Share me out to all your friends and family and whatnot. It helps grow the channel, so I appreciate that as always. But newsflash item today, right off the top of the bat, is that Miles Sanders will not play in the preseason because he's got a nagging groin injury, according to Frank Wright. So, should alarm bells be blaring on this one? I don't think that they should. I didn't have my light on. Sorry about that. All right, much better. Should the alarm bells be going off? I don't think so. But what this does serve, and I'm a fan of Miles Sanders, as I've said consistently since May, I think it's a really good opportunity here. He's coming off a good season with the Eagles, capable of being a better pass catcher, was utilized as a rookie with the Eagles with decent results there, but nothing really since because they phased him out of that part of the attack with the Eagles. I think Sanders could be a 3-down back. And listen, a 3-down back in fantasy football is gold no matter where you get him. And that's why guys like James Conner and Cam Akers are really good buys in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. Rashad White, because they're bell cow backs, but they're not going as high of a cost as a Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley. And so, but they make better buys because when they do go down, it's not as big of a hit to your team. But anyway, so, you know, do you have to go out and get Chuba Hubbard? I don't think so at this point. I know Chuba Hubbard did some decent things down the stretch last season along with Donta Foreman for this Panthers team. I'm not overly wowed by him. Like, if I did my handcuff running back strategy week 1 video now, Chuba Hubbard really wouldn't be near the top of the list. I think he's all right, but he doesn't have any of the upside that some of these other handcuffs have. You know, like especially the rookies like Tank Bigsby and Zach Charbonnet of Seattle. So, but, you know, again, what this does remind you, though, of is the fact that Sanders is injury prone. He's definitely an injury prone player since coming into the NFL. There's no doubt about it. And just the fact that he's got this stubborn groin injury is something that, you know, we need to be a little bit, at least for now, concerned about. That and the plus on this is that he's not going to play in the preseason. I don't want any of my players, any prime fantasy football players, I don't want to see them playing in preseason because it's just a needless risk. There's just no reason for that. You know what I mean? So that's something that we're going to have to just keep an eye on when it comes to Miles Sanders and go from there. Russell Gage went down with a knee injury, non-contact. He's out for the season. Tampa Bay had some moments with the Atlanta Falcons earlier in his career, but really Russell Gage hasn't been much of a factor since going to Tampa. You know, maybe this does funnel some more opportunities to Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, who, you know, really, let's face it, nobody's after either one of those guys because of the vast quarterback downgrade from Tom Brady to what's going to be Baker Mayfield. I mean, Baker Mayfield's going to win that job, but you know, I think for Evans, I think Godwin won't be as affected as much as Evans when it comes to the quarterback change, because Baker Mayfield, I can't trust him consistently delivering the deep ball that has been the hallmark of Mike Evans' career. Meanwhile, really Godwin, short yardage guy all the way, short to intermediate game, even design runs that go as passes. That will be fine with Baker Mayfield. So I'm not as concerned about Chris Godwin, but I'm really tired of the lack of touchdowns. I'm really tired of the injuries. You know, I've been a fan of his for years. Doubled him up last year in both of my leagues, but not actively chasing him this season. Amon-Ra St. Brown suffered a leg injury, for Wednesday's practice. Got treatment. The lower right leg during 7-on-7, it doesn't look like it's going to be a big deal. He wasn't taken out on a card or anything, unlike Treylon Burks, which just happened, not that long ago before I came on here. So, not concerned about this in the least. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be fine, and I think he's just going to be an absolute target monster. Now, a lot of mentions with Amon-Ra St. Brown have been that, he was tackled at the 1 yard line a bunch of times last season, and he should have had more touchdowns. Listen, guys get tackled short, between the 1 and 5 yard line often, and obviously that can, prevents them from bringing in prospective touchdowns. I'm not fully embracing that stat. I've said it all along. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is just a younger Keenan Allen. He's going to catch 100-plus passes. He's going to go for over 1,200 yards. But the touchdowns are going to be moderate. They're going to be, in the 5 to 8 range, which is fine. But, you can't graduate to high-end wide receiver 1 territory in fantasy football unless you were a double-digit touchdown guy. That's it. That's a fact. You just can't do it. So Amon-Ra St. Brown has to do that to get himself with the Stephon Diggs, with the Jamar Chase, the Tyreek Hills, to be in that hallowed wide receiver 1 tier. He does need to catch more passes, and that's just a fact. That's it. Devontae Adams returned to practice from his leg injury that he suffered last week in practice against the 49ers. He's going to be just fine. Justin Ross, same thing for the Chiefs. He's back in practice. So we want to, Justin Ross has gotten some attention. And really just all the Kansas City receivers, whether it's Rashee Rice, the rookie, Richie James, Justin Ross, Sky Moore, they've all taken their turns being the guy when it comes to the upside sleeper status that goes with being a Chiefs receiver this season. Because obviously Juju Smith-Schuster's gone. Macaulay Hardman is gone. It's Travis Kelce and a bunch of unknowns. Marquez Valdes-Scantling will never be a consistent receiver. He's always going to be a wide receiver 5 because he just clearly a wide receiver 5, maybe a low end 4. And I think that's being generous. He just doesn't have any sort of consistency to his game, MVS. He's going to pop once every 5 games. He's going to have that 2-touchdown, 100-yard game out of the blue. Nobody's going to have him in their lineup because he's just god-awful the other 3 or 4 games before that. So, who can be the leading receiver on this team not named Travis Kelce? I'm still a fan of Richie James. Sky Moore is the knee-jerk answer. Rashee Rice, right now he's running with the second team. So, and so is Justin Ross for that matter. So really Sky Moore by default. And just by usage through that first preseason game for the Chiefs, I think Sky Moore is the guy to target right now. I didn't go out of my way to try to target him in the one league where I had a draft. But if you want him, he'll be there late for you. All right. So one of the features I wanted to talk about today, and I used to do this on the website, especially with fantasy baseball, when I used to cover fantasy baseball, or the overpriced, underpriced feature, where I would take 2 comparable players in skill and in stats and compare their ADPs, all right, and determine one of these guys overpriced, one of them underpriced, all right, and starting off with the quarterback position, it's interesting to me. So you have Trevor Lawrence, who's QB8 right now, 54th player off the board overall. And I love Trevor Lawrence, okay? So this is not me hammering Trevor Lawrence because you all know I've been really, really heavily invested in him. I'm just going by the draft cost. So QB8, 54 overall. Geno Smith is QB15, 114 overall. And if you look at their numbers last season, so they're very similar. And as obviously Geno Smith finished top 5, both guys were great buys. I mean, they were late round, even free agent additions, especially in Geno Smith's case. And they paid off big. And it gave ammunition to the people that still say don't draft a quarterback early. But let's take a look at something here. So passing yards last season. So both guys 17 starts. Trevor Lawrence, 4,113 passing yards. Geno Smith, 4,282. Passing touchdowns. Lawrence, 25. Geno Smith, 30. So Smith beat him in both. Interceptions. 8 for Lawrence, 11 for Geno Smith. So, Lawrence wins that one. Rushing yardage. For Lawrence, 291. For Geno Smith, 366. Now, rushing TDs, Trevor Lawrence had 5, Geno Smith 1. But Geno Smith beat Trevor Lawrence in 3 of those 5 categories, and he's going 7 quarterback spots behind Lawrence, and really 70 spots in the draft. That shouldn't be. The Lawrence is the new guy, right? He's the new guy, and the fantasy football community loves the young guy, the upstarts who have ceiling, and that's what Lawrence has, no doubt. Geno Smith, asking him to replicate last season is going to be a lot. So I get it. So Trevor Lawrence, yes, he should be drafted ahead of Geno Smith, and this is coming from a guy who's a fan of both of them. But Geno Smith is a better buy when you break down the numbers. They both have really potent offensive weapons to throw to. Obviously, Geno Smith might have the best trio of wideouts in football, with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and then Trevor Lawrence has not too shabby with Calvin Ridley, Evan Engram, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk. So a lot of good weapons for both of these teams, but disparate draft costs when the numbers are really not that different. Okay, running backs. Antonio Gibson right now is running back 34 in PPR leagues. All right, 87th player off the board. Jerick McKinnon in a much, much, much better offense. Running back 42. So he's going 8 spots behind Gibson at the running back spot, and he's 119 overall. All right? So, that's what, 23 spots between the two. So should it be that disparate? Well, I already told you Jerick McKinnon is a much better offense, right? Last season, and this is what counts with them. Receptions, Antonio Gibson, 46, Jerick McKinnon, 56. Receiving yardage, Antonio Gibson, 353, Jerick McKinnon, 512. Receiving touchdowns, Antonio Gibson, 2, Jerick McKinnon, 9. Wow. Now, obviously, rushing yardage, Gibson has the advantage, 546, McKinnon, 291. Gibson had 3 rushing scores, McKinnon 1. So again, though, McKinnon beats Gibson in 3 of the 5 categories that I just talked about, but he's being drafted 8 spots lower at the running back position, and he's in a much better offense. Jerick McKinnon is a better buy. All right? No, I don't think there's any doubt looking at it through that prism. All right, let's go over to the receivers, because this one's interesting to me. So T. Higgins, wide receiver 15, Cincinnati Bengals, 31st player off the board. I think he's sizably overpriced in my opinion. Tyler Lockett, who is criminally underrated every year, wide receiver 31. And right now, he's a 73rd player off the board. So 16 spots between the two of them at the wide receiver position. All right? 42 draft spot. T. Higgins, last year, 74 receptions. Okay, Tyler Lockett, 84. And they both played in 16 games. T. Higgins, 1,029 receiving yardage. Tyler Lockett, 1,033. So we beat him slightly. Receiving touchdowns, Higgins, 7. Lockett, 9. So Lockett beats him in all 3 categories, and he's going 16 spots after him. So... and I'm totally out on T. Higgins at that draft price. And I own Lockett already in the one league that I'm in. He's my flex. Criminally underrated. Sorry to throw the stat at you again, but 4 straight years, 8 or more receiving touchdowns. He's been the only receiver to do that the last 4 years. Come on. The numbers don't lie here. Lockett is such a better buy than T. Higgins. And T. Higgins leaves you wanting more. And I get it. There's an alpha wideout already there in Jamar Chase. but the target tree is not really that pronounced behind him. You know, Joe Mixon catches balls out of the backfield, great, but the tight end has never been a big contributor to this team. Tyler Boyd is fading, so you want more out of Higgins. Lockett gives you everything you want, and he's very durable. All right? Even more durable than Higgins is. All right, let's go to the tight ends. Dallas Goedert, tight end 7, 71 overall. David Njoku, tight end 10, 95th overall. All right, now last year, Njoku did play in 2 more games, so take this for what it is. But Goddard, 55 catches, Njoku 58. Goddard 702 yards, Njoku 628. All right, so Goddard beat him there. Receiving touchdowns, Goddard had 5, Goddard had 3, Njoku had 4. So Njoku beats him in only one of the 3 categories. But both guys are their number 3 options in their passing offenses. So the Eagles, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith first, then Goddard. David Njoku has Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore. And he's ahead of Donovan Peoples-Jones, in my opinion. So they're both third options. All right? Njoku, over the last 3 years, has 10 receiving touchdowns. Same amount as Goddard. All right? Njoku seems like he's getting better. And now he has a much better quarterback this year than he had last year. It goes from Jacoby Brissett to Watson. Now, I know his numbers actually were better with Brissett last season, but over the course of a full season, you want Deshaun Watson throwing to him. There's no doubt. Both guys deal with injuries, so that's not a discussion point. But I think the value is much better with Njoku because the numbers are not that different between the two of them. As a matter of fact, Njoku's targets around the red zone are higher than Goddard's. So, you know, that's just something. Again, that's a different draft cost that really I don't think should be. All right. Let me just see something here. All right, so Jameson Williams had an issue with a hamstring today with the Lions. It looks like he's going to be okay. Now, this was interesting. News item. The Athletics, Josh Kendall believes Tyler Algier, running back for the Falcons, will get 170 touches to Bijan Robinson's 301. So Bijan Robinson can be the bell cow back. But 170 touches is decent. So I think Tyler Algier, well worth a late-round pick as a handcuff. You know, some of the handcuffs that I really like, I've talked about Zach Charbonnet, talked about Tank Bigsby. I think Tyler Algier is a really good handcuff. You know, Jaylen Warren, Najee Harris is so durable. I'm not sure I can throw him in there. But even Vaughn from Dallas, who played really well in the preseason debut, the rookie, he looks like a good handcuff because we don't know about Tony Pollard if he can stand up to being a bell cow back. So Algier, to me, is part of that group as well. So I just thought that was an interesting tidbit. I wanted to share with you guys there. All right, the other thing is the Philadelphia Eagle backfield. So this is getting a lot of attention lately. So I just, in round 13 of that draft I was telling you guys about, I think I took Kenneth Gainwell in the 13th round. All right. By all appearances, it looks like Kenneth Gainwell is going to be the number 1 running back for the Eagles, which is amazing to me. Didn't see that coming when camp started. But maybe we should have, because in the second half of last season, Gainwell was eating into Miles Sanders' numbers to the point that in the playoffs, he was actually out-snapping Sanders. And it brought in Rashad Penny. They traded for DeAndre Swift. But apparently, Rashad Penny is not really impressing the team much. They put Penny out there with Swift in the first preseason game, and they held back Gainwell, which was interesting. Now reports from the beat reporters say that Gainwell's going to be the guy. So anybody who's drafting now, keep an eye on Kenneth Gainwell. I picked him up. You want as many pieces of this offense as you could possibly get. Gainwell can catch the ball. He's got good ability to run it as well. He's a little smaller, but I think Rashad Penny's going to get cut. I don't think he's making this team. All right, everybody, that's all for now. Another podcast probably dropping tomorrow, so keep an eye on it. Hit that subscribe button, the like button. Send me questions, rangerfan28@yahoo.com. Like I said, any injury updates, certainly I'll post those. Stay tuned to any possible live streams, hit that notification button. We will chat soon.